My business school experience was a funny farm. Funny farm is a wonderful place where there's animals. In this case, it was human animals. There was lots of interesting things to do around the farm. My first day at business school, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and contest chair, thank you very much for having me tonight. My first experience at business school was to learn how to make synergies out of opportunities and how to use economies of scale to improve everyone's productivity. These are the wonderful things we learned in business school. I want to relate a few stories from my experience on the funny farm so that you can be edified and never have to repeat that experience yourself. The first day I was at business school, I walked into a classroom full of young people like myself, sat down at the table, and the TA was saying, "Oh, welcome everyone to school, and please talk to the person next to you, ask them their name and what they want to do." So sitting next to me was a beautiful red-headed girl. Her hair was glistening in the wind. It was marvelous. I talked to her for a few minutes. I asked her name, and she told me her name. I asked her what she wants to do, and she said something. And I totally couldn't remember. When it came to my turn to introduce her to the room, the teacher said, "Oh, now it's your turn, Geoff." And I'm like, "Oh, I totally forgot her name." So I just sort of made up something. I said, "Hi everyone, this is Priscilla, and she wants to be an artist." So that was my first day at business school, and now I felt really awkward, and there was this silence when she said quietly, "That's not my name." So I said, "Oh." Business school was fun. I got to work in groups, so again, I got to meet many people. And there was one group we met in the basement of the library at Simon Fraser. I don't know who here has been to Simon Fraser? A few people. It is built in the 60s, I believe, and the library, it looks like this huge castle. It has like bars on the windows, and if you go downstairs, you get all the smell of the musty old books. And I was down there with my group, we're working on a group project. And this guy named Robert, he was sitting there, and he suddenly just started closing his eyes, and he put his head down on the table and started sleeping. Like, we were thinking, this is very strange. We learned that many people have different styles of learning, different approaches to education. Robert's approach was to relax and to sleep, and I think I need to learn more from him. Up here, I can try that technique sometime. Maybe instead of giving a speech, I can just lie down on the floor. But the most interesting experience of business school that I have learned the most from, which I really want to communicate to all of you, if you have one thing to get from my speech, is the next little story, is giving people what they want to hear. It was another group project. We had a group of 5 people or so. There was a girl named Clara, who is an A+ student. She prided herself on having the highest GPA in the class. I think she had A+ in everything. I was trying to be like her, but it wasn't quite as good as her in terms of the grade point average. Anyways, we did this group project where we had to write a paper together. We had a few weeks to do it, and then it was Wednesday, it was due on Monday. Wednesday we were pretty much done. But Claire said, "Oh, just let me take it home for the weekend. I want to take this paper home for the weekend, and let me edit it over the weekend." So we said, "Okay, you can do that." So anyway, she took the paper home. On Monday, just before we were supposed to hand it in, we had to look at the paper. It was entirely different. Everything had changed. All of the words were different. You couldn't recognize anything. And even more interesting than that, she had changed all the words that were like businessy sounding, like, you know, economies of scale and opportunities and synergies and those lovely words that you use in business school. She had put them all in italics. So just those words like blah 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 blah, italics, and then economies of scale and then close italics. we thought, this is kind of weird, but maybe it's what the teacher wants. So we got the paper back 2 weeks later, and can anyone guess what we got?
A+.
A+! We got 98%, and this is true, that part is a true story. It definitely is. And the teacher had put a green check mark next to every italicized word. So that is the moral of the story. You have to give people what they want. If your teacher likes the jargon, you got to give them the jargon. And in business emails, if you incorporate some of those fancy words, especially if you're like a CEO talking to your employees, it makes people think that you know what you're doing. It's great. So in conclusion, I learned a lot in business school. I remember my first day when I told someone their incorrect name, to the more recent memory of the giving people what they want and the A+ student. But the thing that I learned the most from business school is to promote the arts. Having told the class that my fellow student is wanting to be an artist. So therefore, I myself want to be an artist. Thank you very much.